Cosmic Mastermind, the Galactic Lighthouse, Warlock. Alright, let's hope for the best here. I should heal the full 20 HP from apples and then whatever drops they give me at the beginning. Because at the very beginning of the map, there's always a heal for bosses. This is the first map. This is the tutorial map. Nice. Oh yeah, potion. You know, as I expected. Hey, that's not very nice. Don't draw mustaches on me. He looks really easy, but famous last words. What is that helmet? The floating helmet. He's summoning enemies? So it's a summoner. I assume that he'll be killable once I kill all the enemies. Huh? More? Really? So far he's not that difficult, but you know, last bosses are always like that at first. Is there something I'm missing, or is this actually it? Like, I just need to keep on killing things until he switches his phase. Oh, it is! His HP is actually dropping. So, the maps... Doing all the maps actually prepared you for this, because you're fighting enemies. Wait, this can't be it. He has to have a phase 2. I don't believe this is his only phase. Otherwise he'd be such a pushover. Oh, here we go. Assist time. Wait, what am I supposed to do? Oh, I set him free! Nice! He's switching directions? Okay. What if that helmet thing is like mind control? That's how he's controlling these guys. Maybe? Ziggs. Another League reference. So most people probably wouldn't get it. What are these ones called? I guess Talon? Because they like throw knives at you? Throw blades at you? Oh crap! That was a bomb. Oh crap! Uh oh, this is not good. I'm taking unnecessary damage. So this one's Talon. Is there someone else that tosses knives? I guess Katarina. He seems to rely on these flame people a lot. Brand? Is it Brand? Oh my god! He slices it open and then just laughs. The last guy's probably gonna laugh too, the goo guy. His laugh is awesome. Oh, I missed Brand. I'm just gonna call everyone by their league names. Hopefully there's no Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz would be annoying. Although there's a lot of hooks, so I think it's okay. Did I just jinx it? No, no, no. Who's this? Is it Misfortune because of bullet hell? Bullet time? Octopus? Some kind of octopus? Damn it. Some kind of 80 carry with dual pistols. It's gotta be Misfortune, so that's Misfortune. What about this guy then? With one gun? Is there an 80 carry with one gun? Blaster Man is fine. Lucian has 2 guns also. It could be Lucian, the octopus guy. So this is Lucian or Misfortune. It's probably Misfortune though, because bullet time. There we go. Final part, I think. He's gonna do his villain laugh. What the hell? He just sprays goo everywhere. Is he actually gonna fight me now? That has to be phase 2. Fighting him has to be phase 2, I'm pretty sure. Oh, that's a lot of brands. Holy fireballs. Damn it, my controller turned me around. Hate it when that happens. I don't know if that was a good idea, but I might as well use it. Oh, another bomb. Crap! Okay, okay, we're good, we're good. Who's that guy? He summons a bunch of little things and fires them at you. Maybe Elise? It's not really a spider, though. Who else summons little tiny things and fires them at you? Because they're like living things. Maybe it's Kog'Maw, living artillery. Oh no, Ziggs! Ziggs and Twisted Fate. Mid lane fight right here. Would it be Twisted Fate? It dodges around and then fires 3 bullets. Maybe it's Vayne. Silver bolts. And tumble. God, that's so annoying. Okay, last part. Oh, he summoned a worm. What would the worms be? Aurelian Soul? That's the only thing I can think of. Oh wow, she sniped it. What about Captain Flinthook? Would it be Nautilus? Kinda? Nautilus with a gun? 80 carry Nautilus in bronze? Wonder if people actually do that in bronze. I've heard crazy stories about people in bronze doing really crazy stuff. There's actually someone on my friends list who's been like low bronze for the last 4 or 5 years at least. He hit silver once, but then he demoted back to bronze afterwards. I think people that are in bronze legit don't take the game seriously. Because like, I can't see how they're just stuck in bronze. I mean, it's okay to not take the game seriously. And to not care, just play for fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I've heard some wild stories about bronze. People playing like 80 carry Nautilus. Maybe not Nautilus. Weird builds that would never work or shouldn't work. Alright, here we go, phase 2. It's gonna put the helmet on. It's gonna do something. I don't know what it does. It's just been there. Huh? Wait. That's not the end of the game, is it? No, that can't be. I just got healed. Oh my god, he turned into a giant head! Is the middle thing his heart, I guess? Yeah, I think it is. Holy crap, this bot. Can I touch him? I can. Oh, crap! Okay, this might actually be a difficult fight. What's the counterplay to the spikes? I guess it's predicting where they're gonna go next. Because they always go next to each other. So now here... Oh, damn it, I missed the dodge. Crap. Please don't die here, like seriously. Middle? Middle? Okay, middle. What if I just... Oh, okay, just attack from here, that's so much easier. Holy crap, bullet hell. That's actually bullet hell. Wow, calm the hell down. I'm actually almost dead. Oh crap, this is bad. I'm gonna push for lethal. Is that it? Is that actually it, or is there another phase? Yes, destroy his heart. I think it's actually over. Oh, maybe it's not. Oh crap. Phase 2. Or phase 3. No, it's actually over. It's over! I did it! So now we're gonna find out why he betrayed me. I didn't even use my helmet. Probably should have during the bullet hell parts. Okay, let's watch the cutscene in quiet peace. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Dagonon Aurelius Wagner Gorlock, 2014 to 2000XX. Only the blessing of the Six could have saved him from himself. Is this Game of Thrones? So, why did he betray again? Why did he... We still don't know who or what Flinthook is, other than those wispy things. I mean, I guess if you look at the lore, you'll probably find out. Maybe there's an epilogue. Or post-credits scene, not epilogue. The end? It's not over? Maybe there's another unlock. Damn it, if there's a new area, then I don't know if I want to play it. If it's like 20 sections, then I'm not going to do it. Gorlock Rex is now available in the black market. That's the bonus. Okay. Why is the little guy crying? Can I move? Oh, I can. That's a lot of power-ups. I did it! Follow Gorlock Finger Snap. Achievements unlocked. Nice. That's not bad for a second attempt, right? I was expecting it to be worse. Holy, that's a lot of items. Oh my god, look at these items! Oh my god! That's a lot of items. What is that helmet? Damn, that's pretty good. Not bad. 0 curses collected. Good for good reason. So what is the lore behind all this? I guess I don't know yet. I think I need to unlock this one. That's Captain Flinthook. And this thing. I want to unlock this thing. But I need to visit the library or whatever to get all this stuff. Relics probably teach you stuff about the in-game world as well. Pink matter. It looks like poop. There's nothing else like it in the cosmos. A lucky charm. 100? What? What the hell? Okay, let's buy the perk. And then... Oh, holy crap, these are expensive. You gotta play this game a lot to get everything, huh? Let's actually save up. I don't know if I'm gonna play this game more. I mean, I'm not gonna play any more on YouTube, but I don't know if I'll play it more in my spare time, or maybe I'll just stream it for fun, because it seems like a pretty fun stream game. Alright, well, I'll gather my thoughts, do a closing statement, and that'll be it for Flinthook. Okay, well, I'm gonna be doing my closing statements now, but how do I get this to run without it playing the intro? Let me turn the music down also. Just have it at a really low volume in the background. Okay, closing statements. It's still kind of loud, isn't it? Actually, my voice is like triple the volume, I'm pretty sure, so this should be fine. I'll talk into the mic instead of to the side of the mic as well, since I'm reading off notes. I mean, oh, shit, you're not supposed to know that. Okay. If the intro plays, then whatever. Blah, 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 okay, whatever. If you've watched the playthrough the entire way through, then you probably have an idea of how I feel about the game. That's like all my playthroughs. I talk about the game as I play the game. And in general, closing statements. Just to clarify, closing statements are my immediate or near immediate feelings about the game. It's not a review. If I were to actually write a review on this, which I might in the future, it'll be a lot more detailed. And even though it may go over the same things, it's not the same as a closing statement. The difference between them is like a review is a review, and this is like a reflection. Take that how you will. They're almost the same thing. Just, you know, this one's less formal. Okay, so this game, I'm going to give it a tagline and call it Fun for Masochists. So that's going to be the tagline of the game. Flinthook. Fun for Masochists. It's an extremely difficult game. And for most people, it's not going to be a game that they're going to enjoy. So if you're a masochist, you're probably going to like it. If you're not, you're probably not going to like it. Alright, so let's just skip over story, because it's not really a big factor in the game. This is a gameplay-oriented game, like a really gameplay-oriented game to like the upper extremities. And yeah, the story is kind of like one of those implicit stories anyway. It's not really... Well, it's the opposite of explicit, which is like blatantly telling you the story, obviously. It's told through things like character and world design. You get an idea of what the technology is like, you get an idea of what the ships, the economy, you know, that kind of stuff. You understand what the world is like and your function in the world to some extent. Like, there's still some mystery, obviously, like who is Flinthook? But, you know, we're not really privy to that information from just the blind playthrough that I did. Also, there are very short and small cutscenes. Like, these give you the story, but it's not like super explicit story. It's really basic stuff. And also the general atmosphere of the game seems kind of comical. Like, why is everyone a pirate? What's with that gooey map thingy? Like, you know, this kind of stuff you don't really get the information, but it sets the atmosphere. It's like a really, what is it? A jovial, kind of chill, funny, fun, kind of cartoony style game. I'm pretty sure you get the impression just by looking at the title screen here as well. So yeah, these things are the ones that tell you about the story more than anything else. I mean, you could look at the lore and relics, but that's like optional reading that I won't get into because I didn't actually do any of that, or very little of that. So let's talk about the art and music then. The art is exceptionally good. It's a really adorable game. The art is beautiful. Character design is really cute. Even the ugly pirate enemies are kind of cute in an ugly kind of way. You know, like a bulldog. I mean, there are even bulldog enemies, so that's pretty obvious. Ugly cute. The facial expressions, Flinthook's expressions in general, I should say. The animations, they're amazingly done. So if there's one thing about the game, like love it or not, if you love the game or not, you can probably still agree that the art and the art direction is like a super standout in this game. Especially considering the implicit storytelling and all that. Like you need to have good art to have like a story told through the art and the atmosphere. The music, on the other hand, it's good, but I wouldn't consider it to be as great as the art. So relatively, it's good, but it's not great. It's not at the same level. The music, like this music gets repetitive, right? A lot of the music is very repetitive in this game, and then especially when you consider the fact that you're going to die a lot, you're going to restart a lot. Unlike atmospheric music that's just there in the background to set the mood, a lot of the music, some of it is atmospheric, I guess. It's still kind of atmospheric. It does set the mood. The problem is that it's really busy. Like this is really busy music. There's a lot going on, and it's not really appropriate music for me to talk to. Don't get me wrong though, it sounds great to listen to. It's good music to listen to, but after like 5 to 10 hours of gameplay, not so much. There are some games that just sound good forever, like when I played Hollow Knight. That's probably a good example. The atmospheric music in that game, it's not very intrusive. It's just there, and it sounds good. But, you know, this game isn't actually like that. So now, to the core of the game, the gameplay mechanics. I'm going to sound really critical, but this is something that devs probably want to hear, unlike the general public. The general public seems to think that if you critique something, it means you dislike it. It's not necessarily the case. If you critique something, you're objectively, or attempting to objectively look at something and figure out its flaws and analyze it. It's an analysis. And in a lot of ways, it can help the developers in the future. I mean, this isn't just related to game design, but like all aspects of life. Critique is something that a lot of people have difficulties taking, myself included. Basically everyone's like that. There are very few people who are actually, it's a generalization, but there are very few people, I think, that actually take critique well. That doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, I'll listen to you and then I'll consider what you're saying, but like I'll truly consider what you're saying and, you know, use it to better myself. Because the thing with critique is sometimes it's not really accurate, and sometimes it may be completely off. Like if I critique this game in a certain way, which you'll see very soon, developers could reply and say like, well, actually we were going for this, so, you know, we probably wouldn't have considered that, or we don't want to consider that. Because in the end, the developers have the freedom to make the game that they want, and I completely respect the decision. If you want to make a game the way you want, then I'm not going to argue against it. I will critique it and say that, you know, I don't agree with this thing, or I don't agree with that thing, but I will always respect a developer who is true to themselves when they make the game. Okay, so with that being said, I'd say a majority of the game is done really well. The biggest issue is that it's not a twin-stick shooter. You know, not being a twin-stick shooter in 2017, lol. But seriously, like, it made the control scheme more difficult than it should have been. And even though I got used to it after a few hours, I completely disagree with the design direction. The right stick literally does nothing. Just why? Why leave it like that? Or better yet, why don't you have the option of using the right stick instead of locking your character with the left shoulder button? It's like the best of both worlds. Players can opt into one or the other depending on what they're used to or what they like. Someone who has experience with twin-stick shooters will probably opt for using the right stick. Someone who doesn't may be fine with the shoulder button locking mechanic. That's one of the things I don't get about a lot of devs. They don't give us the option to do this. Look at that. See? Like I can't do anything here. Oh, actually maybe I can. Oh no, I can't. It just shows which button that I'm pressing. So yeah. Like right, I'm moving the right stick right now, nothing lights up. If you move it, it lights up, but right stick does nothing. Can't change it. You would think that, I mean, in 2017, I'm saying it as a not joke this time, but you would think that in 2017 this is like a basic necessity, giving us the ability to change control schemes, but apparently not. I mean, there's a lot of really archaic things. Some people argue like, oh, it's meant to be like that. It's meant to give you an archaic feel. It's supposed to feel retro. I don't buy that argument. For some games, like Always Awakening, it's like deliberately retro, but it still has aspects of the game that are modern. And, you know, it makes the game still feel better because of that. And that game's really retro, like seriously retro. A lot of the issues from the game stems from the poor control scheme and like aiming difficulties. It's like needlessly difficult, but manageable if you give it enough time. So I'm not going to say it's like unplayable or anything, not even close. It's just a hurdle that's there that shouldn't be there. Next on the list is the hookshot mechanic. It's a great mechanic. It's the actual core mechanic of the game. And I'd say it's generally well done. From the mobility it gives to the puzzle solving capabilities, with the bells and all that. Even down to the chime sound effect when you cling onto something. It just feels really refined. If you ignore the wonky controls, I have to put that serious caveat there again if it wasn't apparent that that was an issue 30 seconds ago. It's good. Just ignore the wonky controls or get used to it. It's a very strong mechanic. There were two things, though, that I didn't like about the hookshot. One of them was probably unavoidable. The other one probably was avoidable, but it might be like a personal preference. So the first one is when multiple potential targets are in range, very close to each other, like clumped up, sometimes you'd hook the wrong one. And this is the one that I think might be unavoidable, but there could have been a way around it. Like, if the enemies overlap, then, for instance, maybe the one that you're going to target is the one that has the reticle, like a small reticle on it. So you'll see the reticle changing every once in a while depending on your positioning and depending on the enemy positioning. Maybe it's a little intrusive, maybe it's a little annoying, but at least it shows you exactly which one you'll be hooking next, if it's in hook range from your exact position. Cursor position, I should say. Because it really depends on your cursor position. Also your character position, I guess. Some games do that for clarity. Not exactly the same scenario, but for instance, the game would show you like this is the target that you're aiming at, or this target is in front of the other one. One is in the front, one is in the back. Stuff like that. Again, I'm not sure if this was avoidable or not for this game, but you know, it's just something to consider. The second one is stalling in place when you hit a bubble. It's one of those weird clunky mechanics, but I do understand what it's going for. It's got to feel different from hooking obstacles and shooting. So ultimately, it's one of those mildly irritating things for me. In the middle of a fight, you have to always consider that the stalling effect will actually leave you vulnerable if bubble enemies spawn. And when I was playing, most of the time I would overlook it, and then I would take damage as a result. Completely my fault. Like, I'm not going to say the game is stupid because of that. You know, because I know the mechanic works that way. I can't complain about that if I know how it works and I know how to counterplay it. But it's just one of those things that feels a little bit weird. Again, I do understand the goal. You're supposed to make it feel different from other attacks. But I personally didn't enjoy it that much. It's kind of like the Hollow Knight example that I used when I was doing my Hollow Knight closing statements, and during the playthrough I talked about it. Rappelling off of walls when you slash them. It's not game-breaking, but was it really necessary in the long run? It's just mildly irritating, ultimately. It doesn't really add that much to the game. Could they have done something else? Maybe like a strong sound effect. Maybe that would have been sufficient. A sound effect that is vastly different from the chime sound effect when you hook onto obstacles. I mean, ultimately, it's up to the devs to decide what they want to do, but personally, I wasn't a big fan of it. What I would have liked to see more of was the Chrono Belt. There are only 3 things the Chrono Belt does in the game. It's slowing down time so you can dodge obstacles, dodge enemies more easily, opening the red time gates, and killing those floating dog dudes with the mace, the Morning Star thingy, swinging around them, and you have to slow them down. I mean, I guess you can use it for gambling too, but that's kind of the same as slowing down something to dodge more easily, because you're trying to dodge the curse. Whereas the gate, you have to use it. Killing the dog, you have to use it, I believe. I'm actually very surprised that one of the bosses didn't utilize the Chrono Belt in some way. Or either that, or maybe it did and I didn't realize it. But I didn't use it, so it wasn't necessary. I would have liked it to be necessary. I know I probably should have used it, more often to dodge bosses and make it easier to dodge their attacks and all that stuff, but, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the playthrough, this is probably going to end up being one of those things that I just don't use that often, because it doesn't feel necessary. And I probably would have wanted the game to make it feel more necessary, to have it more involved with the game. But the issue is if you put too much gameplay into the Chrono Belt, it could undermine the hookshot's gameplay, which obviously is the real core, so you'd have to balance it accordingly. Maybe like 80% hookshot, 20% Chrono Belt, or like 70-30. That could be the reason why there weren't that many Chrono Belt features in the game, but still, I think there could have been at least like 1 or 2 more puzzles for the belt, 1 or 2 more enemies for the belt. Like, why not? I don't think that would have hampered the hookshot gameplay that much, if at all. In fact, it would have helped for the monotony of the game, because the game is very repetitive, right? Not necessarily bad repetitive, because it's always different due to random generation and different hazards and all that stuff. But, you know, like, I always say, because I'm greedy, why not more? Okay, so tied in with the gameplay topic is difficulty. I've said it a lot. The game is brutally difficult. I think it's probably like a 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10, which is way higher than Hollow Knight and other games I played recently, if I recall correctly. I think I gave them like a random arbitrary rating of like 6 or 7, maybe 8. This game is much closer to Super Meat Boy and Boshi level, but there is a caveat to this. If you take an easier route, avoid curses, avoid difficult hazards, then it's not nearly as hard as Super Meat Boy Boshi level. It's actually closer to probably like Hollow Knight level, maybe a little bit higher even, but you know, that's to be expected because the game throws like difficulties at you left and right. That's kind of what I did near the end of the playthrough, and the overall game was not as brutal. The RNG in this game is very controllable, which is something that I can't say for certain other games that I may be playing at the moment. I've said it, I said it during the playthrough, I talked about it during the playthrough, I won't say it again. But yeah, certain other games. Controllable RNG is the best kind of RNG. There's still randomness in the game, so every playthrough is a different playthrough. You'll be challenged by a variety of different difficulties that are ever changing, but you decide what you go through with. Personally, I feel like that's the best way for a procedurally generated game, or I should say, a survival game to work. It works the same way in Don't Starve, and I can speak from over 2,000 hours of experience in that game. RNG definitely exists, but it's all manageable. No one is forcing you to fight. For every option, there's at least 2 to 3 alternatives. At least. For every playstyle, there's at least like 1 or 2 more playstyles. Maybe 3 or 4 more playstyles, even depending on character. So there's like so many different ways to approach the game. Hazards give you time to prepare for it. It's not just instantly, except in very, very few occasions, but those are ones that you control as well. Again, this is for Don't Starve. And you can plan out your path in your survival, in your playthrough, whatever it is, Don't Starve or this game. While these things and many more are not really immediately apparent to newer players, enough time and effort and determination will show that this is true. Flinthook is the exact same philosophy. No one's forcing you to check every room. No one's forcing you into ships with difficult enemies, big bullets, and other annoying affixes. No one's forcing you to pick up perks, or curses, or gamble for stronger perks with the risk of a curse. You decide what to do. You make your own challenge. It's your own adventure. And yeah, sure, there are some areas that can't be avoided, like the true path to the exit. Sometimes you may have a really difficult room, but that happens like once... I don't want to say like once every 3 or 4 times, or more, because it is RNG based, but it's not going to be like an overwhelming difficulty that just kills you straight up. You could have avoided situations prior to that, like you could have avoided taking 20 to 50 damage from something, right? That could have been the case. Like, if you see a room that you know is really difficult, there was one of the rooms that I talked about that I'm like, oh, I always take 50 damage in it. I could have just said, nope, not going to go through with it. But I went through with it, lost 50 HP, that was my decision, I live with that decision. So decision making, very key here. With all that said, if you're mechanically gifted at these kinds of games, or if you put in enough practice and effort to learn the mechanics and get good at the game to a greater degree, you'll probably look like a badass, since this is an extremely skill-based game. If you're skillful, you will succeed, and probably look really cool doing it. But, that being said, most players will never reach that point. The difficulty is like climbing a very steep cliff. Only the strongest and most skilled will survive, while the rest will fall to their deaths. It's a cruel analogy, but it's apt for this kind of game. So overall, for the gameplay, it's quite well designed, enemies have counterplay, it's skill-based combat and mechanics, decision-making is key, and the player is given enough input or options. Those are the qualities to a well-designed game. Is it a great game? Is it the best designed game ever? Definitely not. But it's definitely not bad either, and the devs did a pretty good job at balancing the game, even if it is more for a hardcore audience. But, you know, be thankful it's a roguelite, and you don't have to restart from the very beginning every time if you die. Actually, I think the game would be a lot worse if that were the case. I think it's actually pretty fun the way it is. Maybe that's just me as a masochist. But I mean, if the game were a true roguelike, I'm sure the devs would have rebalanced it accordingly, because they seem decently competent, at least. They seem pretty competent, to be honest. So, do I recommend this game? Do I recommend this game? No. I don't actually recommend this game. I know I talked it up a lot and made it seem really great, but I can't recommend this game because of how brutally difficult it is. I remember reading comments and some reviews on Rise and Shine and Hollow Knight, and people thought those games were brutal and unforgiving. I definitely didn't. Difficult? Yes. Brutal and unforgiving? No. This game is going to take that to a different degree, a higher level, a new level. For the average person, this is not a game for you. If I think a game is difficult, then at least 99% of people out there will think it's difficult. Because I'm in the minority for like hardcore gamers. You might think yourself a hardcore gamer, and maybe you are, but you are in the minority if you actually are a hardcore gamer. The tagline, just remember the tagline, Flinthook, fun for masochists. If you're a masochist, hardcore gamer, that kind of stuff, and you love a challenge, you love to improve, you love to learn, to adapt, to grow, all that stuff, determination, stubborn, whatever, all that crap, then I'm sure you're going to like it. By all means, I recommend it for you. But if you're not, then you probably aren't 99% of the time. 99% of the people out there, if you're one of those people, you're probably not. It's very difficult for me to recommend this game. Now, looking at it from a less of a gameplay perspective and more of a price perspective, an efficiency perspective, a value perspective, $15 for this kind of game is actually kind of steep. So I'd probably get it on sale if I were the general public. I clocked in about 12 hours in this game, and I'm satisfied with it. But the problem is that it's an RNG-based, procedurally generated roguelike. That's a mouthful, that's a lot. Your experience will differ from mine, almost 100%. Not just based on, you know, like personal preference or experience level with these kinds of games or games in general, but the game itself, the stages they give you, the items they give you, and the way you're eased into the game is going to be different. The game could be a complete ass and give you brutally difficult stages at the very beginning, and that's probably going to sour your experience with the game most of the time. Or the game could be a saint and give you easy stages, really crazy good items for a long period of time. So you might think, oh, the game's not that bad. This guy's just exaggerating about how difficult it is. That variable nature to the game means that the enjoyment level and the amount of time you'll end up investing is difficult to truly discern. And also, if you get difficult stuff and you quit the game after being overwhelmed, then you're obviously not going to hit 12 hours. So the value of the game will be significantly worse. Again, it's not a game I can recommend to most people, so keep that in mind. But regardless, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I really enjoyed it. So if you're a gamer like me, who likes difficult stuff, despite getting wrecked, if you're a super masochist, then sure, play this game, get this game. On sale or not, I think it's pretty worth it. Anyway, those are my closing statements for Flinthook. Like I said before, I might revisit the game as a stream game since it seems fun for that kind of content, but that'll be it for my YouTube playthrough. As always, thanks for joining me on this crazy adventure, this crazy space adventure of death and more death and more death. You can subscribe on YouTube for more videos like this. You can follow me on Twitch for live streams, Twitter for updates, and some other stuff in the description below. I'm Ventus, this was Flinthook, and thanks for watching.